Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. It is Markets in the Morning. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Welcome to Markets in the Morning. Today is Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025. This is Markets in the Morning, where we take a look at the price action of the cryptocurrency market, including the Bitcoin price chart, along with the altcoin market and the XRP price chart, as we get ready for the United States stock market to open up here in the next 3 minutes. After we look at that, we'll take a look over there at precious metals like gold and silver and the U.S. dollar currency index, or the DXY, along with any type of financial news or crypto news going on out there as we kick off this Wednesday. If you don't know, today is Liberation Day. So this is the big thing that the market has been very worried about, uncertain about, and we'll have those announcements come out at about 4 p.m. Eastern time today, after the stock market is closed. So we've got to get through today's trading day, which will probably be volatile, as we get ready for the announcement for Trump on whatever's going to end up happening effective immediately with tariffs. So we'll jump into all that here in just a second. Otherwise, happy Wednesday, everybody.
It is Wednesday, my dude. It is Wednesday, my dudes.
All right. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to the show. Happy Liberation Day. I don't know if we want to say happy about it, but yeah, it's Liberation Day today. So let's see. Let me see if I can pull up anything on it. Liberation Day. I think I had something up. I had something. Here we go. All right. I don't know. I did. I had like an AI thing that like had to be like a perfect description of what it is. Anyway, today at 4 p.m. Eastern time is when Donald Trump is expected to have a speech from the Rose Garden at the White House, where he is going to make all the announcements in regards to what's going on with tariffs that are going to be effective immediately. There's some good and some bad about it. I mean, of course, like nobody likes tariffs. I could talk about that here in a second. But I brought this up in yesterday's video too, that like if people always get really frustrated when they think that them and the millions of other people who are front running some good news to come out, and then when the good news comes out on the date they expect the good news to come out on, price goes the opposite way. They're like, what the heck, man? You know, the price was supposed to go up from that, but instead price rose into the event, right? This, of course, has been an event that has been broadcasted from a while away, broadcasted from a ways away, knowing that this date was going to be coming. And so this hopefully will provide some clarity to the market. Hopefully the market feels good about what it hears. One way to think about it maybe is like, hopefully, right? Fingers crossed. How many people do you know that are like worrywarts? If you're going on a job interview or something like that, you probably come up with all the worst case scenarios that could end up happening for that. You go to the job interview and it's just like, it's nothing like the worst case scenario you imagined, or any type of event in your life. You know something's coming up. You kind of come up with all the negative, horrible ways that it could end up playing out. And then it doesn't play out like anything like that. And then it's something totally different. So hopefully that's kind of the circumstance that we're in heading into this. As you can see in the title of this, Liberation Day Uncertainty. Liz on Saunders had posted this over there on X. She's a great follow, by the way, if you want to just get like morning data fed to you every single morning. It's at Liz on Saunders over there on X. And she had posted this over here. The Dallas Fed Services Uncertainty Index swung from +3 to +27.3 in March. And we haven't seen that kind of move since June of 2022, when inflation was nearing its peak. So the uncertainty in the services industry. And so if you're wondering, what is the Dallas Fed Services Index. It's a measure, I've got it written up over here, as a measured by the Texas Service Sector Outlook Survey. And it's monthly to gauge the state's service sector activity. The survey asks firms about their perceptions of revenue, employment, prices, general business activity, and other indicators. The outlook increased to 27.3. So it suggests that businesses in the Texas service sector are becoming more pessimistic about the future, right? And so we, of course, have had a couple of big uncertainty hits over in here recently over February and March. So the market's real worried. There's uncertainty heading into this. And so hopefully we can get through this event and some of this uncertainty starts to fade and things can kind of improve a little bit. But that's kind of the state of where we're at. I know that everybody's kind of worried about these tariffs and what they mean. And I think it goes all the way down to the little guy. I recently had to have an appliance part repaired. I did everything from trying to figure out how to solve the appliance problem using AI, unplug it, plug it back in, do all the different things that you could possibly do to try to fix the appliance. But I ended up having to call a professional out to come fix it. And then when he gave me the quote, I didn't balk at the quote at all. I just totally was like, yep, no problem. No problem. And he immediately started trying to overcome objections when I didn't object. And he was like, yeah, we had a meeting this morning. We had a big company-wide meeting this morning that, the tariffs are going to be going into effect. And unfortunately, that's going to impact all of our prices. And he seemed genuinely distraught about it. And this is just a appliance repair guy. So I think, hopefully we can get through this and it kind of turns up, right? It's like a negative event that we've seen from a long ways away. Hopefully we can get through this and things can kind of revert, that we're pushing extremes in the market right now and things kind of turn their way around once we get past it. So that'll be today at 4 p.m. Eastern, and fingers crossed, we're kind of reaching our extremes. And this is what the market has been, fighting against until we can get through it otherwise. So we'll see how it goes. As for the U.S. stock market opening up in here, it looks a little bit improved from what it was in pre-market, actually. So the Dow is down 200 points. I did see it down over 3. I think it was down 350 a little while ago. RTY is down 14 points. I think it was down 26 points just a little while ago, so that's a little bit improved. S&P's down 43. NASDAQ's down 205 as we're heading into Liberation Day. We'll see, man. We'll see. But all right, there you go. So what do you got with Bitcoin? Bitcoin's at $85,000. Again, a little bit improved from what it was in pre-market. It was down in the 84s. I think in the title it says 84,700. XRP at 211. XRP, of course, still just sitting in this range, just unchanged, sideways action ever since December. Here we are in April. Still going at it over in here. Same thing goes over here on the price chart. Of course, it's sitting on top of that 2021 all-time high over there at $1.96, still just humming sideways. Gold is moving up. I've been trying to, of course, look at these waves and see, where does it seem this thing is going to chill out at? Because if you recall, when we saw the market roar last time, it happened right there. It happened right when gold started taking a bigger step back in there. Ever since gold's been rampaging up to the upside, of course, markets have all stalled and nothing's happened in here. So gold just keeps on humming. A way to kind of look at it in this manner, big move, back test that move, and then you kind of move into these 5 waves to kind of go and end it. We even saw something like that, and I'm not going to go through a million charts on this, but you can find these things quite often. It's like this, right? You've kind of already gotten through here and here. It's like we're right in something like this right here, where you have your 5-wave ending. I've shown these things on Bitcoin, all kinds of charts. We even saw it with Bitcoin back in March of last year. You could see it in June of 2019, that you just see. I'm trying to think things off the top of my head where they're super ridiculously clear, where you could see the final ending ends with 5 waves like this. In that, are we already in there? Are we kind of working on that parabolic ending right in here for gold, which would imply probably not there yet. This is what you could kind of cross your fingers for the gold rampage to come to an end, is that we have done 1, 2, and we're working on 3 and 4 her right now. And then there's kind of the last push to finish off gold. Now, of course, I'm a big investor in gold. It represents a massive amount of my portfolio, but it's always been a hedge. Like I've never treated Bitcoin. It's like a hedge of everything hitting the fan. It's always been gold and silver being as like my hedge of everything hitting the fan. So far it's been working. But I don't want it going up, right? I don't want that. I don't want that. So I do cheer for it, even though it's such a big part of my portfolio. Please stop, sir. Please stop. It looks like there's still a little bit of improvement happening over here in stocks now as the day gets going. Now the Russell is down only 8 points, back above 2,000 here as we get the day going, as we are in our big day. Bitcoin's up to 85.3, so a little bit of improvement over there. All right, there we go. We got Bitcoin. We got nothing to say on XRP as this thing just still continues to go completely sideways. Gold, we got it. RTY. This, of course, we're reaching these extremes too. If you've caught my videos this week, right, I put out a newsletter over there on Monday. So has it only been 2 days? It feels like it's been a long week. You guys don't know this about markets in the morning, but you probably, in order to get videos out in the morning, I can't be like a normal human being and wake up at like 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning to get videos out for you guys in the morning. I have to wake up at about 3:30 in the morning to get onto the charts, to get everything figured out, and then try to get things recorded to try to get it out to you, 9, 10, 11 a.m. in the morning, noon. But that requires me to get up at about 3:30 in the morning to do that. And then markets in the morning is probably about 4 hours of prep work prior to it. So it's usually the same thing, 3:30 in the morning. Today I got up at 2, man. So I'm just like in a brain fart this morning of tired and exhaustion, and I hope it's not coming down. What's up? But either way, all right, looking over here at the Russell, right? So we're reaching these extremes over in here. What was I saying? Yeah, I put out, I've been like a brain frog, right? Okay, so that's where I was going with that. Monday, we put out the newsletter, right? It feels like it was so long ago, but it was only 2 days ago that it was put out. I implemented a lot of it's been pretty cool. Like if you haven't gotten, trust me, it's like the guys who say, hey man, you should try CrossFit because it's super cool. Or or hey, you should do 24-hour water fasts. Or, all that kind of stuff. The same people who are like, hey man, are you not using AI? It's like, all right, man, just shut up already. I get it. But really, if you're not, the reason why it's so hard to get into the AI stuff in the beginning is because you just don't really know what to prompt it with. It's hard to know, what am I even going to ask this thing? But if you start with just dumb stuff, the way I really got into it is if I do a lot of gardening things, and you could just take pictures of stuff and ask questions. I'm like, dude, what's wrong with this leaf? What's going on here? Or if I'm like, hey man, what kind of particular type of peach can I grow in my zone that will do well, that doesn't have problems. I know you guys are sick of hearing about gardening stuff, but that's how and it will totally give you exactly what you're looking for, and it can spit the answer out. But recently they came out with this deep research stuff, and instead of spitting the answer out, it goes and scours the web, and it spends 5 to 10 minutes scouring everything, building up a research report for you. And so, one of the things that I've, been obviously talking about for a long time is that this time is different over here in the market, that, we're dealing with a completely different animal here in the market. And I know it because so many people want to just kind of believe in fantasies, but even looking at XRP, right? You want to, here you go. Right? Is XRP doing something because of, something wrong with XRP? Or is XRP doing something? Take that off and do it like this. Let's see if it wants to work. Right? Here's the Russell 2000. Right? There's XRP. Okay? So it's paying attention to these things, quite vital. I mean, the whole move down, all the bottoming action, all the everything, Russell 2000. Right? That's the puzzle that we have to solve. And knowing that this time is different, and plugging it into all those deep research models was fascinating. For it to also agree the things that we are seeing in this market are certainly different from expansionary periods. You're not getting your normal 4-year cycle, which, everybody block reward having, but you're getting things that are very much like equity tops. And, I utilized two different ones. We utilized Grok, utilized ChatGPT, and both of them come back with the same percentage probabilities, thinking that this is the equity top happening in here, especially with big tech, and that the likelihood of there being a rotation happening within here, that where mid caps and small caps end up catching a bid, is more probable. And so that's just kind of where we're at right now. And like everything like rides on it that we end up getting something like that to end up coming. So we're at these levels where it's kind of like things kind of got to hold here. And we got to get through this event. And it's interesting to see it pushing on these particular levels that even the AI models think are important levels that have to hold as we go into this extreme uncertainty event today. So hopefully when we get through it tomorrow, we're all good. And I've looked at these things on smaller time frames for you guys too. You guys know crashing structures. You know how they operate, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rolls back up to wave 4 within wave 5. Boom, we got the new low right in here. Now we're going to get this extreme level of uncertainty event, or recapitulating of massive uncertainty as we get down in here. It holds the support levels, and then boom, we roar up. And right, that's the big bet. That's the hope as we go into this here in the next couple of days, because this is the trade. This is the thing to pay attention to. I unequivocally believe that it's the most important thing in the market for us right now. Looking at other things in here, of course, we've talked about SWE happening in here. I get it. Not everybody has SWE. You shouldn't. If you don't care about it, don't own it. Like, it doesn't matter. This is all just being used for looking at the whole market and doing wave counts on the entire market. Again, with this stuff, like in these comparisons we have, right? This is a 50-week moving average. Here's your 50-week moving average. Things are still humming along, looking right. If we end up getting that rotation happening over there in the Russell 2000 and it catches a bid, it's likely going to end up being that thing. That's what our conclusion comes to. That's where we end up getting that move happening in there, like we're talking about over there for Bitcoin, and things just hum along and they're okay. And we're all singing Kumbaya. So, okay so far. But we're, dancing on supports right now to try to get our way out. Now, with Bitcoin, of course, you can see it still just sits right there on top of the 50-week moving average. Nothing's broken in there at all. But we're all sitting on supports really everywhere. And the Russell, XRP, Bitcoin, everything, trying to get through this moment today. And hopefully the certainty and the narrative of Trump kind of fighting for the little guy is what ends up, helping things kind of rotate. And that's how you get the small and the mid caps actually going. And it's not so focused on the big mega caps. So, all right. Well, I look forward to getting through today and seeing what tomorrow has to bring. And of course, we reached this extreme level of uncertainty with the Bitcoin dominance back at the 702 retracement. So are we going to hit it, right? Question is, did this one happen? This was during a liquidation event. Are we going to test it for real in here? And that's where we end up having it happen. I just showed you this. Let me see. Hold on. Where is it? Where'd it go? Hold on. There it is. Dallas Fed Services Uncertainty Index swung from 3 to 27.3 in March. We haven't seen that kind of move since June of 2022 when inflation was nearing its peak. June of 2022, right? So are we going to test it, get through this moment, and then whack, right? There's June of 2022, right? Sorry, excuse me. That's what happened with the dominance last time. Once we got through that peak of uncertainty happening in there, boom, that's where that ended up turning around. So here we go. Are we going to get to this peak uncertainty moment in here? Market feels some more certainty. And then that's when things kind of broaden out. So fingers crossed, that is what's on the horizon here. As you know, right, this is how we got to. We got to the 702 retracement back in 2021. And that's, of course, where things U-turned themselves around. As for the DXY, US dollar currency index, of course, still sitting underneath that historical danger zone. So it seems like we have those conditions in there. VIX, one of those things, not just price levels, looking out for the RTY, but of course not wanting to see extreme levels of spikes in VIX. As long as we're below 25, things should be okay. Kind of one of those factors. You see the Dow go to like 38,000. You see the Russell 2000 break below 1950. You see the VIX spiking above 25. That's like a series of confluence of events that we're probably not wanting to see. But as long as we're here, we're still okay. as for news, there it is, front page. Everybody knows it. Everybody's worried about it. The big moment happening today at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Trump finalizing tariff plans as U.S. trade partners brace for impact. So it's our big announcement coming today at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard. One thing that if you don't know about this, all right, so when it comes to politics, just for people who are not Americans or even Americans, sometimes we forget this, that a president gets their report card on how they've done after their first 100 days. The first 100 days is almost the most important 100 days of a president's 4-year term. And it's pretty much their bragging rights for what they get to say they have achieved pretty much during their entire presidency. Essentially, the most of anything a president does gets done right in the first 100 days. Check my math if I'm wrong. I believe today is day 72. So day 100, I believe, is around April 30th. So at the end of this month. So you tend to see presidents do a lot of stuff in the first 100 days, and it feels chaotic and it feels wild. Hopefully this is all just a big show, right? So that way, when we get to day 100, it's like, hey, look at all these great things I've achieved. The markets are bouncing back. The economy is coming back. I've taken care of this, and this. All these executive orders, this, and this. Peace deals here, and here, and trade fairness here, and here, right? It's all just part of the big thing to get through the 100 days. So, you just got to get through it. Otherwise, markets are looking okay as we now have kind of kick-started and started the day. You got Bitcoin at 85.6. You got the Russell 2000 back above 2000. You got XRP at 2.12. So, just got to get through today, though. All right, so there you go. Trump finalizing that stuff. That's what we're all waiting on for 3 p.m. and for the markets to feel some certainty. Markets have been selling off, obviously, until this event. As for crypto news, probably nothing going on here in crypto news. I did see stuff come across yesterday that DEX volumes on Ethereum have bypassed Solana. So we've officially washed the froth of Solana. Finally, it's fully washed out. That's good. Let's see what other news there is. Crypto PAC backed Republicans win U.S. House seats in Florida special elections. Bitcoin sales at 109K all-time high are significantly below cycle tops. I guess so. The amount of volume that happened there at the peak was not as euphoric as we typically see, where people are typically buying in a frenzy as we get back to the top. I would probably agree with that. It just doesn't have the feel of what those look like. People all complained that there wasn't like a blow-off parabolic top back in 2021. My thoughts back then, go check my tweets, check everything, and what we were saying back then, I didn't think we were. I really thought it was going to be kind of like that for the ending, that it was just going to be something like this, and then that would be the end of the Bitcoin bull run, that it wouldn't have a parabolic feel to it, to the ending. My bet is this one does, and that it does have more of a parabola to kind of finish it off. I would be very surprised if that is actually the end and how it would happen. I would think this one would end with an actual parabola. Back over there in the news. Okay. Gun tokens $69 million milestone. Pudgy penguins go to LOL land. March of 2025 in charts. Trump trade war hits Bitcoin. 22 million in DeFi hacks. The future of digital self-governance. AI agents in crypto. NFT marketplace. X2Y2 shuts down after 3 years and pivots to AI. I'm going to sound like an idiot. That's fine. There's going to be some dude out there who's like, how do you not know about that? I don't know. I've done a lot of research on NFTs. I've never heard of X2Y2. XRP bulls in denial as price trend mirrors previous 75 to 90% crashes. I'm calling baloney on that. First of all, anything can happen, right? If we start taking out, $1.90, $1.85 or something like that, and, there's becomes more uncertainty happening in there. But let's go ahead and see. What did the last crashes look like? If you think I haven't looked at that, of course I have, right? Oh, let's see. No. Let's go look at this one. No. No. Shouldn't we have already crashed back down to like 75 cents? Shouldn't we have already crashed all the way back down to $1? This is the most hated rally out there. I see so many large accounts out there calling for it to crash. And I've talked about this with a lot of on the channel a lot. Right. And of course, hopefully it holds. But I think it has a lot to do with Ethereum. For the XRP holders, you'll remember we've just talked all about different capitulations, right? You have price-based capitulation, you have time-based capitulation, and then you have jealousy-based capitulation. And one of those frustration points for XRP holders, of course, back in 2023 and 2024 was Solana taking off, right? That angered a lot of people. That angered most people in the market because that wasn't occurring in most of the market. It was like an isolated event, right? So you got everybody who's like Ethereum people who are upset. And then, you look at like Solana versus XRP. You got the Solana people mad too, right? Solana people have just crashed and crumbled versus XRP as well. And so I think there's a lot of frustration and anger out there to see XRP at these prices. And I'm uncertain how much of this like real TA out there is based on it or just based on not comprehending how the heck is this thing up in here. It's just garbage. It's just going to crash on itself. And I think that's what a lot of it truly is of what's going on out there in the market. But XRP is positive for the day. So we are now back above $2.13, knocking on 214's door. All right. Yeah. So good job, Cointelegraph. XRP bulls were in denial. I think it's the other way around. I think it's the Solana and Ethereum people maybe in denial. And Bitcoiners. Like they all hate it, right? They all hate it. The outside looking in. Why? Here's reality. Why? It happened too fast. It happened way too fast. It caught everybody by surprise. Back here, everybody called it Dingus coin. Don't touch it. It's garbage. Don't touch it. And it just got away way too fast. I don't think anybody's on board. I think everybody says, they want it to fall because then they're like, oh, yeah, this trash is going to fall. And they're like, okay, I'm logging now. All right, I'm getting off my high horse. I'm moving on. This happens every time we do the news, man. All right, contrary to popular belief, regulation isn't slowing tokenization. Prometheum CEO. Prometheum, isn't that the guy who's like the bad guy? I don't remember. OpenAI to release its first open language model since GPT-2 in 2019. Bitcoin price gearing up for next leg of acceleration phase. Says Fidelity Research. That'd be interesting to read. I mean, that's what I think is going to happen. That's what I obviously think is going to happen. Barring that the Russell 2000 holds support, because I know that they're all linked together. I don't live in denial about that. But this is what I think obviously is going to end up happening. And I think Bitcoin will benefit from it. But I mean, it is sleepless nights. Not literally. About that next phase. About that next part. Yeah. All right. And I know, I get it. Not everybody agrees with that, and that's fine, right? I mean, that's pretty rowdy stuff to be shoving on there, and hopefully that's just plain wrong. But all right, there you go. That is a full-blown 29 minutes of rambling. Let's go see how the stocks are doing now that they're opened up a little bit. Little bit of improvement. Of course, Roblox leading the way, followed by Coinbase, Netflix, GameStop, and Ford. So interesting, of course, to see, not that most of those aren't Mag 7. Netflix obviously is, but not Roblox, Coinbase, GME, or Ford. Tesla down there at the bottom, but only 2.5%. And otherwise everybody else is like 1% or less as we kind of head into this event. The Dow's down 200, the Nasdaq's down 70, the S&P's down 26. I believe these numbers are all quite improved from what we were right before opening and here after opening. And then DXY now down 103.98. VIX 2275. I think the big thing today is if we can reach this maximum level of uncertainty and hit that 702 on the Bitcoin dominance. So, all right. There we have it. Again, today is Liberation Day. If you're unaware what Liberation Day is, this is what the market has been worried about, that they've seen coming, right? A way to think about these things is when you see positive events coming ahead of time and you try to front run it and be super smart because the market's going to pump the day that the good news is supposed to happen. This is kind of the opposite of that. Everybody's scared of this event. Markets have been selling off leading up to this event. It's going to be today at 4 p.m. Eastern time. And we'll see how the market reacts once we finally get through it and the market feels a little bit more certainty about how things are going to go. But this has been one of those big dates. And hopefully that's the end of the massive uncertainty, as I showed you guys earlier from Liz on Saunders and the Texas Fed Services Index. So, all right, there we go. That's the ramble for today for Markets in the Morning. Let's hop on into the chat. Right As World, thank you very much. You gifted 5 BCB memberships. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Jimmy Potiera. Sorry, my eyes just Poterala. Jimmy Poterala. Is Saylor going to be liquidated eventually? You would think he would eventually. Yes. You just have to. Here's the only way he doesn't get liquidated. Bitcoin's created in the depths of the great financial crisis. It has gone up and down in every cycle of the stock market, right? As long as stock market go up forever, right, then Saylor's okay. But one day, stock market won't go up forever. And that will be, likely the end of that. So I think one day he probably will be liquidated. I mean, price is what, 85K. His average entry price is 66K at this point, right? Maybe it's 68K at this point. He's been doing this now for going on 4.5 years. It's not like the position's in major profit or anything like that. Obviously, even if you had a standard, typical correction, right? Like in just your basic B correction, which I don't think it's going to happen from here, right? But even if you did, let's go to 85%. That's where I used to. You go to $16,000, an 85% correction from here. That's way below his average entry, right? Like way below. Even if Bitcoin runs to $300,000 and then does an 85% correction, he'll keep buying it all the way up and then be way under, right? Of course, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think we're going to 300K. I don't think we're going to 200K. But, one day, probably. I mean, he was dubbed the biggest loser during the dot-com bubble. He lost the most money out of anybody when the bubble popped in 1999. So probably one day. But I don't know if it matters to him, right? Like I don't understand the model. I think I don't put a whole lot of research into understanding the model. But maybe the goal is just a turnkey operation to sell master stock, right? MSTR. Maybe it's just a turnkey operation to line the pockets. And then one day, whenever things hit the fan, it doesn't really matter. There's been enough MSTR sold that people have lined their pockets with already that they walk away and the company just gets annihilated. I don't know. I have no idea. Deshaun JSC Nat, hey BCB, would you expect ADA to hit a 4.236 fib retracement, and what price are you expecting on the fib? I think we've looked at this a couple of, I think it's like, as long as the market roars, right? As long as this plays out and we get our push up into here, my expectations for ADA, $7, $8, $9, $10, kind of like XRP, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's the area I'm going for ADA. I'll watch it at the time if something's coming up where it's like, right, these are things I'd be looking for me to be like, okay, maybe this one isn't hitting a 4.236 extension because in 2021, only 20% of coins even hit all-time highs or touched all-time highs, and maybe 10% of the top 100 hit 4.236 extensions, maybe 10%, right? Only 20% touch their all-time highs. 80% of them are just retraces, right? Key of like things that I'm like, if we go into bull, like where do I have confidence levels on things that will hit it, right? My confidence levels are on like SUI, and my confidence levels are on XRP, the XRP market cap, right? And same here for SUI, the market cap, not the price chart, because there's been a lot of inflation with SUI. I don't think SUI is probably going to hit a 4.236 extension on the price chart, but on the market cap chart. And then same thing over here for XRP, hitting that 4.236 extension on the market cap. Now, if the market reacts the same, the reality is we can pretend all the other things and whatnot. Like in the end, they all hit at the same time, and then everything hits the fan all at the exact same time. And it's going to all happen with the Russell 2000. Like just straight up. This is how it's going to go. If there's confluence here to where like SUI is hitting there and XRP is hitting there and Cardano is maybe only hitting a 786 retracement. At that moment, I'll have to say, dang, that sucks. I thought we would get more, but it is what it is, right? If there's confluence, it's always like, it's fascinating when they happen, because a lot of times you don't recognize the confluence coming until boom, it's a blink of an eye. Suddenly there's confluence happening. I remember one of those events back in 2021 where we had live streams and stuff. I remember in October, I'm live streaming while I'm touring the entire United States on a car trip with my wife, right? And I'm live streaming from all different types of places. Like, I can't remember if I live streamed from West Virginia. I don't think I did, but I know I live streamed from Tennessee. I think I live streamed from Kentucky. But, we were looking for things, the idea was that Bitcoin was really just going to end up producing one of these things in here. And so we're like right over here in October of 2021. And, looking for confluence factors and things to happen. And then a light bulb happened all at once. I'll never forget the day. I'll never forget where I was and what I was doing when the light bulb hit. And it's because back in here, retail investor euphoria was wild. And it doesn't seem like it now because nobody really talks about it and that much anymore. You don't see it running in circles. People aren't like that excited about Apple anymore, right? But the two big, and obviously it's a Mag 7. It's one of the ones it's really the one controlling the whole stock market. But it was Tesla then too, right? Elon Musk. Everybody was just like goo goo gaga in love with Elon Musk back in here. And the market cap of Ethereum and the market cap of Bitcoin hit their 4.236 extensions right here. And then Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, went on to CNBC and said he thought everybody should have Bitcoin and Ethereum in their portfolio. I was in my kitchen. I think I was making breakfast. So every morning I have like the same breakfast every single time. It's NutriBullet with oats, Greek yogurt, a banana, blueberries, water, blend it all up, throw a scoop of protein powder in it, blend it back up, chug the whole thing, come on here and do markets in the morning. That's really how it goes. I'm in there making my shake. I've got my phone. I'm scrolling Twitter. It comes across from CNBC. I watch it. And I say, dear God, this is it. That's the top of Ethereum. I went and recorded the exit plan for Ethereum that day, final update that day. And that was the epiphany moment, the confluence moment that sparked it. That was the top of Bitcoin. But you don't see, like, you're looking for it, you're trying to find it, and then it's just like, there's a magic moment that happens that you don't see coming, and then it happens. And that ends up being it. So, your question about Cardano, right? Again, $7, $8, $9, $10, wherever that market cap lands on. I don't have it pulled up right now. But it would be the same thing of looking for confluence factors happening at the same time. You have SWI hitting something, you have XRP hitting something at the same time. And if you have both of those hitting at the same time, but if Cardano is only at like a retracement or something like that, then it would be like, all right, well, maybe it's not going to be one of them to get them. Obviously, I tell you guys my confidence level on Cardano is that it is. That's why I have my most allocated asset by far is XRP. It represents about 65% of my portfolio. Cardano comes in at number 2. So I obviously believe it will. But if we get into a moment like this and something like that's happening, I would change my mind, right? Flying Sean. Instead of another, we're in a range. There's nothing new to say. Oh, thank God. Here's an idea. Would you please consider making a dedicated ADA video? I'm confused by your $7 to $8 ADA comment from markets in the morning last week. All right. So first of all, for people, if you're considering buying ADA, you need to have your own conviction in it. Right. Here's why my conviction is in Cardano, right? And so you can never borrow conviction from a YouTuber. It just can't happen. Like you're gonna fail every time if you do it. Right. So you have to find things that give you conviction. Why do people have conviction in XRP? One, they've got magical bears and unicorns, and $10,000 price targets. But not necessarily that, right? There's people behind it. There are some faces behind it, right? You have Brad Garlinghouse, Stuart Alderati, David Schwartz, events, right? Apex, Ripple Swell. There's faces, there's confidence, there's personal touches to it that add that level of confidence for people to feel that there's something really there, right? And it's hard for a lot of other stuff when you don't do that. Why has Ethereum done well for so long as well? There's a lot of faces behind Ethereum too. Cardano has that as well. They have Charles Hoskinson, and I get it. There's a lot of animosity of people in XRP community towards Charles Hoskinson. But there's a face there. There's someone communicating there, giving real live updates about things that are happening with the Cardano chain. If you check Santimet's feed, you will constantly see that there is a lot of development activity being worked on Cardano. And that's always communicated by Charles Hoskinson as well. And I'm sure if you're really active in the development community, I know they hold lots of Zoom calls and everything like that. You can hop in that, and you don't need to rely on Charles communicating that to you. You check developer report, right? They're always in development growth, right? And if you check social media, massive following of people, right? It's not like a ghost town of people. There's real live people. They've even got like the Cardano girls, right? Like there's a real community behind Cardano. So all those things combined of development activity, a real face that's communicating the development that's happening on chain, all those different things, those build the conviction that I can hold on to, right? Mixed with the price chart, right? You can't borrow that from watching a YouTuber. So do not buy anything just because a YouTuber likes it. Have your own convictions and reasons why you can weather storms. Weathering the storm of XRP for the last 7 years has not been easy, but had to weather it. And I've been able to weather Cardano storms at the same time. And I've also ridden massive waves on Cardano too, from up 2 pennies to $2, right? So, yeah. Anyway, we seem to, every markets in the morning, we seem to get Cardano questions. And I just want to make dang sure you have your own conviction and you are not borrowing it from YouTubers, including me. Okay, there's 12. How did we get there? I haven't played with this chart in so long. Yeah, even I'm confused of $7. Maybe higher, maybe 13. Maybe as high as 12. Maybe as high as 12. That would be my max target. I'd be fully out. Fully out. Good question. Yeah, if you're confused, maybe that was misspeaking on my end. So your question is why not? Also, but let me ask you. Here's the problem. So you said why don't you make a dedicated ADA video? I have built my entire channel around not making dedicated altcoin videos, except for XRP. XRP has been a staple of my channel since 2019, since the very beginning. It's really the only one that gets it. I made an Ethereum video a couple years ago. It just performed poorly, right? Nobody cares. But also, I don't want it to become like, here I am doing all these different things on all these different altcoins. It would be a very easy avenue for me to come up with new creative content to do. But it's just something I've always kind of shied away from. I really like to kind of stick to the main message. And if an altcoin gets brought up, like SUI or something like that, it just kind of gets thrown in with the bigger picture of what I'm talking about, rather than focusing so dearly on one particular altcoin. Because the truth is, it really is one big giant trade. It all just flows together. It's all going to happen at the same time. I feel that's the most valuable thing I can show on the channel, on the YouTube channel, and I keep repeating it. I apologize if I'm boring you to death repeating it over and over again. It's just to stop the stigma and to like kind of just shake you a little bit, and hope you realize it. Even for XRP holders, hopefully you realize it by me showing that just a minute ago with the Russell 2000 overlaid on top of the XRP price chart, that these things matter more. And that this is the thing that's going to be the thing to at least be able to get prices moving. And then once we get prices moving and we're hitting stuff, we can look at all the different ones individually and say, look, this one's hitting a 4.236, this one's hitting a 4.236, this one's hitting a 702 retracement, this one's hitting a 786, this one sucks, it's only hitting a 50% retracement, all those different things at those times. But we're kind of waiting on that to happen. But I appreciate the input. Yeah, I just have always shied away from doing dedicated altcoin videos. Misha Wilson, thank you very much. Hey, BCB, thanks for all you do. Is there any way you could show us one time how to measure the 4.236 extension or 702 for some of the alts like SUI, DOT, etc.? I just want to make sure I'm doing it right over here on my end. Yeah, well, you just, whatever range you're going to end up using. Here's the fib tool, right? So fib retracement tool. Here's a range. And it just depends, right? On different assets, they're going to have like different structures, right? Like, so I view SUIs, what's happening with SUI is totally different than what's happening like with XRP. Like with XRP, I view it as, one big 8-year long range. And that's going to try to 4.236 extension that 8-year range. Whereas SUI, it's trying to 4.236 extension for a fifth wave ending, right? And that the third wave was the biggest wave, right? You can see these, right? And we've already pulled back down here below the 3.618, and that it's a 4.236 extension of the last wave. And I know that can be nuanced on when do we do this? And hard for me to say that there's like a cold, hard rule of you only do it on wave 4 of this one. I mean, technically speaking, we are doing this 4.236 extension off this fourth wave of what we're discussing in here. And technically speaking, this is fourth wave on XRP, right? Like this is, right, wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and wave 3, of course, being our biggest wave with 5 subwaves within wave 3 as our biggest wave. And then we go on to try to do a 4.236 extension of the fourth wave, right? The fourth corrective wave, 4.236 extension. So technically speaking, that's what I'm also doing over here, but obviously the time frame is much shorter over here on SUI compared to XRP. We're doing a massive long time frame for XRP. We're doing a much shorter time frame here for SUI. But you know, I also think like my thoughts on SUI is like once if we get this right, as long as the stock market cooperates and we got this, I think SUI will get annihilated afterwards, right? Get crushed afterwards, and that's what we always see. We always see that in the crypto market when it comes to an end, that like the average pull down in the crypto market is over 90%. Hopefully that answered your question. I appreciate it. It's very generous. Calvin DeBose. I've got this new chair, and it keeps hitting my desk, and it makes these crinkling noises. And sometimes I'll record my videos, and I can hear the crinkling happening in the video. I'm like, oh, man. My old chair was trash, and this new one's much more comfortable, but I'm having this problem of rubbing it against my desk. All right. Calvin DeBose Jr., I see a giant bull flag on XRP on the weekly chart. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, I agree. It's not that I disagree with you. Yeah, I mean, it's just a big, giant, fat range. And maybe you're referring to this thing right in here. Ryan Owen Crypto. Seems like gold wants to hit the 3,300 area. It would be a nice stopping point based on fibs. I haven't done enough measurements to say that's it, but as I say, I watch a lot of like gold and silver and coin videos over there, and everybody's talking about 3,300. So maybe it'll come up a little bit short than that, right? But I see that in all the videos I see online, 3,300. Texas Takeover, member for 23 months. When? Man, I'm surprised it's only 23 months. First of all, thank you very much for 23 months. But Texas Takeover, you've been here for a long time. And if you don't know this about the YouTube channel, if you probably like comment on a video and you're just like, where's my comment? We've done comment approvals on the channel. Maybe 3 years, maybe 4 years, we've been doing manual comment approvals. And that's why on this channel, you don't see any scammers in the comments. It's a total pain in the butt. It takes a lot of time to do that. But we've done that for years now. I think I got a report from Google, and it's like 100,000 a year get weeded out manually of the scammers in here. So anyway, Texas Takeover, your name, for years, your name still came across every day, commenting on every video, because we always a manually approval. So I always see it. Duara Consciousness Foundation, DOT is looking good, don't you think? That looks just like a lot of the rest of the market, right? It's still holding its floor. It reminds me of Ethereum Classic 2021. I wouldn't say I see anything that DOT is doing that I consider exceptional, of things that have like been able to push itself higher, like HBAR or Cardano or XRP or BNB or Tron have. Like those have been like in Solana, right? Those have been your big boys that have been able to push a lot harder. And then with everything else that's still at the lows. And man, I was looking at Ethereum. Ethereum has acted like, I mean, it's just astonishing. Ethereum has acted like it has just done a whole nother bear market already. It's insane. Unbelievable. Soman, can exchanges lock our money up while selling top? Well, I mean, you're always probably at risk of that. How probable is that? I don't know. It's probably in your user agreement that you signed up to and agreed that they can freeze your account for whatever reason that they have to. Diversify accounts, maybe? The biggest threat, I don't find that the biggest threat is that you get your account locked. I think that the thing that typically happens at the top or at a bottom, during a moment of extreme euphoria or during a moment of extreme panic, is that volumes hit such high levels and so many users come on at the same time, the website crashes. And so you're left in a moment where if you're trying to sell everything on one place during that extreme moment, you can't get your orders to go through because you can't get the website to work, or you can't get the app on your phone to work because things are happening. I don't know if Robinhood deals with that. Again, I don't recommend exchanges. I don't do any of that stuff. I've been around so long. I've seen so many exchanges come and go. So, pick your own poison, deal with it yourself. Not sponsored. But I don't know. Does Robinhood ever deal with that? Because they do a lot of crypto now. I don't know if Robinhood deals. I think you can even send your crypto to Robinhood. I don't know if they deal with those problems so much as like Coinbase, which is extremely notorious for it. Blade, thank you. Says, what is the Russell 2000? Thanks for all your insight, BCD. Much love and respect. Thank you, brother. Nah, Viking. He's just kidding. He's just kidding. See, that's the hard thing about the internet, man. Being able to, right? I'm quite certain Blade is just kidding. He says, bro, paid $5 to ask you what the Russell is instead of Google. Nah, he's just being silly. Nobody has wished me a happy birthday today. Viking, thank you. Furl for real. My take is the U.S. government takes over a strategy as part of a bailout, and the state will step in to rescue and save Bitcoin due to systemic risk. I don't think so. When things get liquidating, they just get liquidating. I just don't think Bitcoin would be the bigger issue. Thank you. All the birthday wishes. Happy 56th birthday, PCB. Thank you. Some dude like, oh my gosh, he's only 56. Yeah, there we go. This is Dave Jack says, dang, you're 56? No way you're 56. No, I am not 56. But Farrell for real, thank you very much. You followed it up and says, longtime subscriber. Thank you for all that you do, and thank you for all the members of this community that have gifted me membership. I'll pay it forward. There we go. Thank you very much. Mod Barber says, XRP dominance is close to March 11 lows. Going broke can a problem. I would think it's a problem if XRP starts breaking down. But I just... right, that's what I talked about like on Monday. Like, if there would be a confluence of multiples of those things happening at the same time, that's where the picture just becomes too blurry for me. I don't know. And it's okay to have moments in time where you're just kind of, I have on some uncertainty right now. I don't think it's a problem unless the dollar chart starts breaking down and sets lower lows right now. But definitely not rushing to do much right now. Ethan Davis, hit the like button and subscribe. Thank you. Hey, look who it is. Longtime listener. Oscar Hernandez's favorite waitress. And before I even read the comment, I have to be nervous because this is one of the smartest people in the chat. So here we go. Correction to my last super. When was your last super? Those Fed gold certificates aren't redeemable. Once the Fed got control of gold supply, with compounding interest, they traded it back to the Treasury for debt in dollars and the tax demand currency. Tax demand is king. Again, over my head. Thank you, Oscar Hernandez's favorite waitress. Always appreciate it. Corey says, what are your thoughts on XRP over BTC and XRPD? Is it losing strength? It does appear to be. Don't have much thoughts unless if XRP USD breaks down. But something to watch for. But obviously not behaving like what a V bottom would look like. Instead, it's just still ranging. So thoughts of a quick bounce and flip out. Not acting like it. Right, that's right. Still just humming. Right. I actually have a chart. Why didn't I pull this up? I had this. I don't know why this wasn't in my earlier presentation. Right. My thoughts are it's just this. Right. It's obviously taking much longer. This is XRP BTC inverted. This is XRP. Here's XRPD inverted. Right. It's not like anything crazy is happening with it, right? So you could do it like, if you look at this one from the inverted perspective, you know, it just seems like we're just taking our dang sweet El Timo. As you guys know, I'm Spanish speaking native. Been playing a lot of Call of Duty at nighttime lately. My wife's been hooked on it. My wife kind of crushes it at Call of Duty. Play the small maps. That's about the extent of my video game playing. I like playing small maps on Call of Duty because I can get in and play for 5 minutes and then be done. And that's about the attention span I have for video games. But every time we play, you know, I have a refer to the names of the maps by what they are. One's called Bullet, which of course in Spanish is La Boleta. You learn something new every day. Okay. MB says, hey, BCB, when do you use fibs based on log scale in the settings of a Fibonacci retracement? Very good question. Absolutely never. In any circumstances, never. Crypto Crayon in the chat says, BCB, how do you account for a Blackstone like attacking Iran? Maybe you meant Black Swan. Yeah, you can't. So surprises are surprises, right? That's why also when events are happening, like when you buy something, sorry, I got distracted. Okay, like when you buy an asset knowing that an event is coming up in the future and you think you're front running it with everybody else on Twitter, you're like, gosh, we are all so smart. All millions of us are front running it together. And then the event happens and the price pulls down. It's because it wasn't a surprise to the market, right? Hopefully that's the case here with Liberation Day. And look at this, guys. You get the Dow Jones positive and you have the Russell positive right now. Hip, hip, hooray. But we still have a long ways to go for the rest of the day. You have boy, these were all down hundreds of points. The NASDAQ was down hundreds of points. The Dow was down 350 points at one point. But black swans or surprises, like Trump tweeting out, you know, a crypto strategic reserve with XRP, Cardano, and Solana. You can't price that in, right? It just total surprises can just happen. Jake Art says, hey, BCB, happy birthday. Thank you. How can you explain your perspective on the stock market for the next few years, given large caps may top this year? Yeah, I actually believe large caps have already topped. So in my thesis of a rotational top, it's that you would have large caps top first. That's just the way that it plays out when you have a breadth dynamic like this. So I think they probably already have. My thesis is that, given that this market behaves like that we do see a rotation that maybe gets up to about 2,500, 2,600 on the Russell 2000. Not much. It's kind of our blow off of excitement over here in the market. And then we kind of go into one of the bigger bears that we've seen. and along with the United States stock market. I've spent a lot of time trying to think about that. If you think I don't, I do spend a lot of time thinking, because what people typically want to do is you get out of one thing, you want to immediately hop into the next thing, right? And I'm uncertain that's going to be the case here. I'm believing that the case may be cash, or maybe the thing I'm going to have to do is probably get more educated on other economies, China and whatnot, and trying to study those and see if there's opportunity in other markets. If this is kind of just the blow-off ending of the U.S. market for a little while. I'm also uncertain what will happen with gold and silver during an environment like that. Will gold and silver blow off before that moment, right? And then they fall in the same environment. And I wish we had the data to know how that happened during the 1930s, during the Great Depression, but we don't have the data. What happened is the price of gold was, of course, fixed, but there in the bottom and the depths of the bear market, they confiscated all the gold, and then repriced gold. So you could almost say that gold did rise during that period. But would cash be the king place to be? And does that mean treasuries, high yield savings, things like that? Will the Fed go ballistic, and of course lower interest rates, making holding cash unappeasing? It may have to be a fluid moment in there, but I'm not so certain that really there's something to run into right away. But it's a weird one to think about what the next couple of years could be like in markets like that. Or do you just become a really good shorter, right? Buy the inverse stuff. SQQQ. All right. Just got a message from PTW indicating we need a frog.
It is Wednesday, my dudes. It is Wednesday, my dudes. It is Wednesday, my dudes. It is Wednesday, dudes.
All right. El bueno. Well, Jake, that's about the best I got for you. I think it'd be a rough period. I would think crypto would struggle immensely during that moment, but it's not like we don't see that anyway. Every time we go into a bear market in crypto, the average pull down is over 90%, right? And in a really and I know this because I write newsletters about this where, we even go through all the data of what happened and how deep those we call it percentage drawdowns, right? Like a bunch of different factors to try to take into account of, what tended to perform the best. And of course, it's wild to see it right now because it's once again one of those things too, where percentage drawdowns have mattered again this cycle. Some of the most shallow drawdown coins were Tron, Binance Coin, and XRP. Some of the most shallow drawdowns. And those are of the 6 coins that have been strong, there are 3 of them, right? But even XRP, I had to continuously say this during the depths of despair that, people were really frustrated about Solana doing so well. But I had to keep being guys, look, XRP only fell 84%. Dang it, BCB, shut up. That's terrible. It's terrible. It's down 84%. But it's no, you don't understand. That's really strong in crypto terms. It's really strong. Meanwhile, Solana had fallen 97%. And so falling 97% or something, I think it was 97. Yeah, it would be collapsing an additional 86% beyond where we had collapsed. So when Solana came back up into here, It was like people were just like, "Oh, Solana's the best coin in the world." But it was more like Solana just went down here and then it came back here, but the gains were so big in here, but people not accounting for the fact that that thing, like if you had $1,000 here, you had $30 here. And then you went back to having $700 or $800 here, right? So it was a big crazy trip for Cardano or for Solana, excuse me. But 85% to like just knowing like that's how things go. This was a top 10 shallowest drawdown from the top 100 XRP. One of the top 10 most shallow drawdowns at 85%. So if you imagine 90% of the market pulled down more than that, that's just normal behavior. And that's also the same behavior that happened in 2018. All right. Pi says, where do you see XRP in 10 years? I'm not sure. Things I've also been thinking about, like I just like to contemplate, is just like my investment thesis. Like, what's my investment thesis? Like a lot of my investment thesis too, like of course we all want to, global payments and all that stuff. We're all going to use it to transact because it's fast and cheap and it like makes logical sense and stuff like that too. But, one of the I've brought this up recently. I got to hurry up and get through this. We're in an hour and 11 minutes already. But, one of the things being like, having to go through the lawsuit, right? Having to have the confidence that we'll win and that, price is actually low due to it. And that we'll get price back up, once we hurdle that risk and that risk is gone, right? And so I think that's kind of where we're at now. I think, price has been, we're now repriced, right? We're above $2 and, the clarity is kind of there, right? It's relisted on every exchange. The appeal's been dropped, Ripple is going to walk away, barely scathed. And they're going to be able to operate their business, right? So then I think, all right, well, what's the thesis beyond that, right? Like, what's the investment thesis beyond that? Because, is that the peak? Is that the top, right? Is that as good as it gets, right? Retail piles in at the top because everything is over, lawsuits done, and that's where retail YOLO buys the peak of it, right? I've had to think about those thoughts, right? And I think the investment thesis, and I hate to say it because I just can't stand how many videos are made about it. It's the Ripple IPO. And it's that getting through all the hurdles of the stuff and the stuff with the SEC and the relationship there and them getting the approval to get the IPO and the price being as elevated as humanly possible leading up to that event for XRP. And that the IPO probably marks the top of XRP, and that's the end for a long time. An example of that is the peak of the market from every aspect of technical indicators and retail behavior was the day Coinbase IPO'd. That was the day. That was peak. And, I would think in order to get the highest IPO price for Ripple stock, you'd want to have XRP valued as high as possible. Then there's the FOMO, the excitement, the euphoria running into that moment. And people are buying up XRP, getting ready for that moment. And then when that IPO happens, that's actually the peak of the market, or the peak of XRP. We'll see. But I think that's the thing that's going to mark the top. But as for 10 years, I don't know, man. I don't know. 10 years is so far out. I haven't even been in this market for 10 years. If you would have asked me when I got into this market 8 years ago, I could tell you I would have thought the crypto market would have been more developed by now of where we are at. I could tell you I would have thought we'd be using it more in our everyday lives. I would have thought we would not have our banking closed still for holidays, and that it would still be normal, and we'd be doing commerce with cryptocurrency at this point, rather than still using wire transfers that in this day and age. But we're not. So if things move slow, while things seem like they move really fast, they still move really slow. So I don't know where XRP is in 10 years, because even 8 years ago, I wouldn't have seen us going through a big, massive lawsuit and us going through that whole ride together. Yeah, I got to make sure I didn't miss something, because I do see that comment in the chat saying, Crypto Mike BCB, what does your emotional diary say at this moment? I don't keep an emotional log anymore. I think it's a good idea to do it, but if I had to name my emotions right now, it'd just be caution. It would just be like, recognizing this is different, but paying attention to what's going to happen in here. And I don't know if I wouldn't say extreme excitement. I wouldn't say extreme fear. I don't know. I don't know what we'd name this emotion, where you'd be right now. I mean, emotions are more of like a day-to-day thing sometimes, I think. Like, I bet you could reflect back. You're probably, during this day where this liquidation was happening, you're probably feeling the OS emotion. Like, oh my, holy cow, oh my, Lord help me. Right? And and then on this one with the Trump stuff, right? Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Every euphoric emotion firing off, and justification and validation of everything happening at that moment, right? You're feeling absolutely fantastic, right? And then after that, feeling like complete dirty water trash. Like, what happened? So it's kind of like more like day to day. It's been more like every day has kind of had its own emotions happening in there. And then now you're just kind of bored and meandering. Bored, definitely bored as can be. I can tell this thing's going to crash on me again. Okay. Corey says Ripple hasn't filed for IPO yet, and it usually takes a long time. Your thesis would imply XRP doesn't top in 2025. Okay, well, I don't know how long it does take, but I could have sworn when Coinbase filed for IPO, it was only weeks afterwards that they IPO'd. I'll need to check that timeline. Okay, I just need this thing to crash on me already, so it'll run faster. Jazz D says, last week you mentioned DOT reminded you of Ethereum Classic. Could you elaborate on the similarities you see? I don't want to get into all the things. And so does Cardano, right? Oh, dude. No, I don't want Kraken. Oh, because it's got this weird blip on it that I don't like. Oh, no. Yeah, you're okay. Kraken, you're all right. So I think of Cardano following it much more closely than Polkadot, but there's similarities in Polkadot. I would say you've got it much more closer over here on Cardano, and if Cardano is really just humming along, and if this is right, like if we do like get past this moment in time of this major uncertainty, and you see that bounce over there in the Russell, geez, Pi, thank you. Gifted 20, man. Thank you. I'll get to that in a second. All right. If this whole market reverses, I mean, we could just be much closer than you think, right? And of course, we say that over and over again while we're stuck in a range and just ranging like nonsense forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And I know we get beaten up by it, and this too shall pass. It always does, guys, right? It always passes. But I think of Cardano much closer than DOT. Coinbase's chart. Let's go to Binance. Right, so it still is just hit lows, right? It's just ranging hit lows. Uncertain if it's going to have the momentum just to it not having additional strength, right? Like it not being as far along as something like Cardano. So while it could do something epic and still just go raging, it's not showing any like particular strength in the asset in itself. But you could draw parallels to it that it's still just ranging in here, and goes for it. But if it hits here, these are confluence factors. If you have this hitting here at this particular time, and you have this hitting this, if you have SUI hitting it at the exact same time, and you have XRP hitting it at the exact same time, that may be just it. But I would say DOT less Ethereum Classic-ish. Okay, finally it crashed. And you guys have no idea what I'm talking about on my end when I say finally it crashed. But less Ethereum Classic than in Cardano probably is. But still, it just could. Like there's always an occasional asset or two that do something absolutely ridiculous, and it could end up being DOT, but it could not, right? Either way, I own DOT. DOT Maxi over here. I'm just kidding. But yeah, Corey. Oh, here we go. Let me go back up. Okay, here we go. Happiest little place in the galaxy. Member for 18 months. No comment, but just announcing it. Thank you for being here for a year and a half. Ethan Davis, would you ever invest in a silver ETF or just keep it physical? Yeah, I would. I don't have a problem with it. There's nothing wrong with having a mix, right? Travis, member for 9 months. And thank you, Ethan. Travis, member for 9 months. I just bought a Vitamix. What's your exact morning smoothie recipe? All right, exact. A half a cup of dry oats. The whole ones, not the instant ones. Quaker Oats or your store brand. Whatever. Half a cup. I use a measuring cup. It's literally a half a cup. More mixed on the Greek yogurt part, but it is plain Greek yogurt. Like not loaded with sugar, not loaded with flavors, none of that stuff. It's just plain for protein intake. And that ranges between 1 cup to 2 cups. So just kind of find the amount that you like. And then it's 1 banana. And then it's kind of like half a handful of frozen blueberries. So it kind of adds a cold to it, like ice cold, Then I add 10 ounces of water. So my fridge does tell me exactly how many ounces, so I can tell you that exact number. 10 ounces of water. And I blend it all up. And I take it off, open it back up. 1 scoop of Gold Standards, Optimum Nutrition's Gold Standards Double Rich Chocolate Whey Protein. 1 scoop. Blend it all back up. Chug it. Corey says, you're right. It took 3 weeks for Coinbase to IPO. Yeah, I thought so. I remember it happened real quick. Gator gifted 10 BCB memberships. Gator, my man, thank you, sir. Thank you. And then Pi had gifted 20. Very kind, guys. You guys gave a lot of memberships today. Jeez Louise. Marco Graham says, why is there only 53 likes? I'm actually showing 995. We got to cross the 1K, though. Fortunately, stocks are looking a little improved as we're into the big uncertainty day when it comes to what's going to happen with Liberation Day. There we go. We crossed 1,000. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. RTY is positive. All indexes are positive. Oh, NASDAQ just slipped a couple points below. But yeah, all indexes are positive today. So we're just going to try to get through today. We'll see how things react as we get through Liberation Day, which is today at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So essentially the second the stock market closes. If you want to know when the stock market is going to close, you just go over to the Dow Jones Industrial Average and look at that little clock ticking right there on the right side of the screen. That far away. If you're watching live, that's how long it's going to be until Trump comes out and announces Liberation Day. America. Oh, that's a little too much. There we go. We go to that one. All right. I think that's it. We'll give you one more frog. I hope I didn't miss anybody. I need to check my text messages because PTW will let me know if I have. I don't ever mean to. I think we got it. I got 5 hours. I got 5 hours in there. Meme said only 4 more hours. It's 5. Right? Yeah. So, okay. Here we go. Froggy, froggy.
It is Wednesday, my dude. It is Wednesday.
All right. All right, there we have it, guys. So fortunately, we have some green indexes. I mean, these indexes were way down in pre-market. So to see some green on the screen, we'll take it. But let's get through today, get past this moment of uncertainty in markets. VIX back down to 22.02, DXY 103.76. There you have it. All right, Bitcoin 85.6. That's it. All right. Yeah, guys, go ahead and check out the newsletter over here at blockchainbacker.substack.com. Check out bcbacker.com for 40 videos and 11 hours of content teaching you how to set up your own charts and indicators within TradingView and CoinTrader Pro. I think I've said that a couple of times. All right, that's it, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. If you could, please like this live stream and give it a thumbs up. If you are new to the channel, wait, what's the question? Use the super chat. Yeah, so the chat rate, I love you guys very much. The chat rate is over 50 per minute. So it's always so hard to get through the chat. All right, I'll try to catch it next time. Maybe PTW, and that's it. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. If you could, please like this live stream and give it a thumbs up. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice, and I'm not a financial advisor. But if you ever need to pick me up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.